So a lot of talk yesterday, kind of about where things go for here from LSU and where they are in terms of building a program, and then taking a little step back and saying, okay, well, where are we in terms of this season? And the reason I feel very good about the rest of the season for LSU is pretty simple. You've got a quarterback who has been outrageously good the last 2 weeks, and if your quarterback plays like that, you're just really hard to beat. And he may not have as much time against Alabama, and Alabama's got some really good players, and it may not look as smooth. But if LSU's offensive front can keep Jaden Daniels relatively clean, he's going to throw the ball to some really good wide receivers, and he's going to be able to run. I mean, he's just a great runner.
Yeah.
And Texas A&M and Arkansas have not shown themselves to be really good up front that would give LSU's offensive line significant problems. LSU could not block Florida State. LSU in the first half struggled to block Auburn. But they've figured out a way with, obviously Campbell coming back and hopefully Dillinger coming back and Jones moving in at right tackle, and they've just gotten a little bit better. So if you remove the Alabama game, which I certainly would give them a chance to win at home, but we'll talk about it more next week. But like A&M and Arkansas, I think LSU's probably going to score a lot of points in those games, and that bodes well. I think it just. I mean, I'll go to the stats with the way Jaden's playing in the last two games. He's completing 73% of his throws. He's 44 out of 60 for an average of 299 yards per game, so right at almost 600 yards in the two games. 5 touchdowns, no picks. He's running it about 18 times a game for 88 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's just in total control. And when you have that guy on the field, it changes the dynamic of the game.
No, it does. And I think that's, what you have to have. It's anytime you're looking at a SEC team that has the potential to win 9 or 10 games, unless you're one of those old Les Miles, toss, dive, left, lead, right, every single play, you got to have that quarterback, especially if you're in a spread offense. And I think that's what they have with Jaden now. It seems like just a completely different quarterback than we kind of saw in that second half at Auburn and a lot of that Tennessee game. He's kind of figured this thing out, and he's been able to use his legs and also his arm at a very, very high level. And so when you look at that Arkansas defense who's given up a lot of yards, and you look at the Aggies who've just lost to Spencer Rattler, J.D. Flies is on a completely different level from those two guys, especially the way he's been playing these last 2 weeks. And so, no, we're going to skip over Bama a little bit and talk a little more about that next week. But, kind of, forecasting forward and kind of looking at those defenses, if this version of LSU's got to trot on the field, I mean, they just scored 45 points. I don't see how they just totally stifle this offense and hold them to 18 or hold them to 17. I think they can go up and down the field, especially when I keep saying it. You look at the weapons on the outside. Jaden threw, a punt to Jure. He goes back and catches it, for a touchdown. And when you give those guys those vertical chances down the field, and you look at BTJ, you look at Kayshawn, you look at Malik, those guys are going to go get the ball. And so to me, you have the best receivers. When you kind of look at the Aggies receiving core to LSU's, even look at Alabama's receiving core, I think LSU just has the better receivers. And now they have a quarterback that's playing some of the best college football in the country right now. And so looking at that Arkansas defense, looking at the Aggies, I think that won't be a huge task, especially where the offense is playing these past few weeks.
And what would suggest in any of the games that he's going to go out there and throw 2 picks? You haven't seen that. We have 2 months of watching, and we've seen him throw 1 interception. It would be wildly out of character for him to put the ball in harm's way 2 or 3 times in one of these games coming up.
Yeah, no, it's just haven't happened. And I think, we laughed and joked kind of about that 1 interception he threw against Tennessee. But, even after the fact, even after that, he just hasn't thrown those plays. Like you watched Dart last week, he could have easily had 4 interceptions in that game. Jaden is the exact opposite. I'm trying to think all season where, a defender's just dropped an interception or he just got really, really close for a defender intercepting the ball. He just doesn't do that. He either gives his receivers opportunity to make plays or, he's pulling it down and really doing a ton of damage with his legs. And when you factor in both of those things together in any given college football Saturday, it's very, very difficult to deal with, especially when you can kind of hand it to Williams and he's eating up 4 or 5 yards a touch. And now you got Goodwin back in the fold who's got to get another week off to kind of get a little more healthy. It's a totally different offense than we kind of watched in that season opener against Florida State.
And then you look at, what the motivation level, what the state of the program with the teams LSU is going to play down the stretch is going to be. Alabama is going to be sky high, fired up, focused, fresh, coming off a bye. You're going to get their best shot. That's what we're used to. That's what we get. That's just part of it. But you look at Arkansas. This season has not gone the way they thought it would, especially after you started it out with really 2 impressive wins over Cincinnati and South Carolina. Then you turn around and lost 3 in a row. A&M, Bama, Mississippi State. You weren't even close to competitive in that game in Starkville. You got a little bit healthier. KJ came back and you beat Arkansas. However, they're going on the road to Auburn this week. And I would pick them to win that game. I will pick them to win that game, but we'll see what happens. They better. And then they have this goofy little game. I don't know why they're going to BYU in the middle of October, and I don't know why they're playing Liberty here either. I don't think it's a great idea because Liberty's pretty decent. And if they lose to Liberty, which they could, all of a sudden you're getting a team that's not very sure of itself, a fan base that's panicking because everything that they had built up over 2 years may be kind of eroding away. Again, I'm trying to predict the future here, and maybe they smash Auburn and then take care of Liberty, no problem. And then you're getting a team that's all of a sudden won 3 games in a row, and it changes a little bit. But we talked about the psyche that A&M may have, and I was curious what Arkansas may have. Liberty ain't that's not Southeastern Louisiana. Mm-hmm. That's not Rice. Like, they can play.
I mean, they do got a really, really great play caller. One of the best play callers.
But Liberty's 7-1 right now.
Yeah, but I think for Arkansas,
and their one loss was to Wake by a point. By the way.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest concern for Arkansas is that this LSU rush defense is a lot better than advertised. I know you got that Tennessee kind of blip on that radar, but you kind of look at the season as a whole. It's very, very difficult to just hand the ball up the middle and just gash this defense, and I think that's kind of what Arkansas has made their bread and butter on all season long, and that's just hand the ball off to Sander, and he just goes for 10 yards a clip and 6 yards a pop, and breaking off these big time runs. And so you look at that matchup against LSU, and kind of the receivers Arkansas has on the outside. It's going to be very similar to this Ole Miss game. If they slow that rushing attack down and kind of force KJ, who literally just came into Death Valley last year and didn't light the world on fire, I just think this defense is a lot better to this point than kind of what he faced. I love that matchup. And so, no, they still have a lot of work to do for an Arkansas team. It was really, you look at the head coach, look at their coordinators, you just thought they would have a lot more success this season, and the help they got in the transfer portal. It just has not been that way. So, I'm kind of loving that matchup for LSU against Arkansas, especially, if Liberty can kind of do some damage against them.
Liberty beat BYU 41-14 on Saturday. So, I mean, it's we saw that BYU defense against Arkansas. It was wind sprints for the Hogs. We realized that BYU's not great on defense, but Liberty owned them in that game. Now, A&M, as far as psyche goes, when LSU gets them, you've lost 3 in a row. You got Ole Miss this week. Then you got a home game against Florida. You're at Auburn. If for some reason all 3 of those go the wrong way and you've lost 6 in a row and you're 3-7, I mean, I don't know what LSU will be walking to in Kyle Field. I mean, they're going to beat UMass. So,
yeah,
but
I mean, they lost to App State, man. You just talked about App State's record. Like, when things come up, when the sky starts falling, man, I think everything's on the table. You got guys allegedly doing things in the locker room before games that they shouldn't be doing.
That guy's not showing up to practice.
Like, you're getting offensive linemen out. Like, I don't know. I don't think you can pencil in anything for the Aggies right now. And now you got your quarterback banged up. Do you want to trot the freshman out there who didn't really look that great? So, I don't know, man. Like,
I think he's going to play on Saturday. I think Wegman's going to play.
And I don't think that's great. I don't think. I mean, if he was that great, we were talking about Max, who it's okay, and talking about Haynes. We kind of know what we feel about Haynes. Like, got the 5-star, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country. Like, if he was that guy, like,
is Max really fired up to rush back to play for this team with a broken hand when the offensive line can't block anybody?
Dude, that's just not a great scene, especially when you kind of look at the receivers on the outside. They don't really have any receivers. I mean, it's A-chain or bust right now for that offense, and Jimbo calling the plays. Actually, I just love Jimbo. I hope Jimbo just keep dialing him up, Jimbo. You're just one of the most innovative
guys. Disconnected.
Yeah, so with the Aggies, man, it's just it's crazy. Yeah, it's bad. And Lucci cut his phone off. Got a little inside source on that. Lucci's not taking calls on that on the phone. It's just tough times for Aggie land right now. But yeah, I don't think you can pencil in anything because I think there's going to be more stuff going on. And the players quitting, I think that could be on the table too. Like, who wants? I mean, when they all came to the Aggies, it was kind of like some LeBron to the Heat in 2011 stuff. Like, let's make this super team. We're gonna make a super team. Get all the guys in the country to join, and you join the super team that's 3-4 right now. So good luck with that. Thanks so much for watching Hun Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.